James Brogan, the Cape Cod Grift. Brogan drove down Route 6 with the windows cracked and the radio low, telling himself the case would be simple. A summer concert series, ticket scalping, an old army buddy of his late father's who now owned the venue and wanted the problem to go away before Labor Day. Easy money, ocean air, maybe a couple of decent dinners. That was the plan. The plan lasted until the second morning, when a ticket broker named Dino Pellegrini was found behind the municipal lot in Hyannis with 2 broken ribs and a message that didn't need translation. Someone wanted the independent scalpers out of the way. Brogan visited the hospital long enough to confirm Dino still had all his teeth and none of his previous confidence. Then he started following the money. The scalping itself was almost boring, kids with phones, a couple of older operators working the parking lots, markups that would make a banker blush. The interesting part was where the cash went after the shows. A beachside restaurant in Dennis, the Driftwood, was taking in far more small bills than its dinner crowd could explain. The tables stayed half empty. The register stayed busy. Brogan spent 2 evenings at the bar, tipping better than the regulars and asking the kind of questions that sounded like small talk. The bartender, a woman named Claire who had the tired eyes of someone who had seen too many summer seasons, eventually decided his money was cleaner than the other kind. "Providence money," she said under the noise of the ice machine. "They buy the high-end tickets in bulk through shell buyers, run the cash through here mixed with the food receipts, and ship the rest back down I-95. Local contacts a guy named Marty Veshin. He smiles a lot and doesn't like being told no." That tracked. A Providence crew looking to expand into Massachusetts summer cash without asking the Boston people for permission. Ticket scalping was the visible racket. The restaurant was the laundry. Brogan didn't confront Veshin. He made 2 calls to Boston instead, men who still paid attention when out-of-state operators started setting up on Massachusetts ground without a conversation. He kept the information factual and short. Names, the restaurant, the pattern of the money, the beaten broker as proof that the newcomers preferred elbows to etiquette. The message traveled the way those messages do. Within 48 hours, Marty Veshin's usual table at the Driftwood sat empty. By the end of the week, the restaurant had a new management team and a sudden interest in actual customers. The bulk ticket orders dried up. The independent scalpers, including a carefully quiet Dino Pellegrini, went back to work without further hospital visits. No arrests, no headlines, just a rapid adjustment in who was allowed to do business on the Cape that summer. The venue owner, Hank Morrissey, who still carried himself like the sergeant he'd been when Brogan's father served with him, insisted on paying. Brogan took the check, then accepted the rest of the compensation in the form it was offered. A paper plate of lobster rolls eaten on the back deck of the venue while the road crew broke down the stage, and a promise of 2 front-row seats for the final show of the season. He used both. On the last night he sat close enough to feel the bass in his sternum, the ocean air moving in off the water, the crowd singing along to a band he didn't particularly like but didn't mind. For a couple of hours the job felt finished in the way he preferred. Quiet, contained, and settled without anyone having to explain themselves to a judge. When the lights came up, he walked out to the parking lot under a sky full of summer stars, the taste of lemon and lobster still on his fingers. Another temporary border had been enforced. The Providence crew would look for softer ground. The Cape would keep its own crooked little economies, just with the usual local supervision. Brogan started the car, turned the radio back on, and headed for the bridge. The ocean stayed in the rear view until the road bent inland. He didn't mind. There would be other summers. There would always be other grifts.